would you say, right, to the typical average person who thinks that, I alone one person cannot do much one lah.
Okay, that and also that's A. B, those who are like, oh, I can only do so much. Like, shouldn't the big corporations be held responsible because they are the ones who are really emitting all this rubbish, no pun intended, to Mother Earth, you know?
Still got one more C.
Oh, C, okay.
Singapore so small, even you let everybody walk, don't drive car, how much can we do?
Absolutely right. Yeah. All these are, something that we hear quite commonly. Yeah. But the flip side is, if everybody thinks like that, then nothing will happen on this earth, right? So actually, the thing is about every single person may be small, but we really need the collective of every single person so that collectively we are large and collectively we can move. And I'm sure once we start moving, the signal to the companies will be clearer. And the company will say, consumers now, they are actually more discerning. Someone that pollutes the environment probably will not get supported, right?
In fact, would it be helpful if we were to incentivize, rather than we become victim, incentivize them? For example, just now you mentioned about bring your own cup. Then maybe the drinks can cheaper.
Be free.
So actually, some companies have been doing that, right? They've been doing that, right? So actually, do you know how long we've been doing this campaign on waste less and bring your own? Just guess how many years have we been doing?
5?
No lah, much longer lah.
15?
Ever since I was a kid lah.
I say 5, you say 8, then you say 15.
Right.
10.
So 2013, so 10 years. Yeah, 10 years, right? So we think that after 10 years, I think we can take another step, which is really to get the larger supermarkets put a charge. It's not a ban, but we are hoping that that will cause a change in behavior.
Okay, those are all our opinions. Now let's find out what the people on the street, like literally on the streets, are thinking, okay, or have their thoughts about sustainability and recycling efforts in Singapore.
What do you think of the sustainability effort in Singapore?
I think that the sustainability effort is not good enough.
The government will encourage it through campaigns, through school, but Singaporeans themselves don't put it as a priority. There's no communal effort.
There's a bit of a lack of recycling maybe, or a movement to recycle here, but I think it's better than other countries.
I believe that in the 90s there were recycling frog campaign, but I think it didn't push hard enough, so in 2023 it's not good enough.
你看那在超市买东西那个环保袋一个拿很多，买水果的时候那个不一大堆，
那个 plastic bag
所以还不达到理想，还要再进步。
Do you practice green?
I might try to.
Recycling all those used cardboards that, let's say I buy from online. After that, all those cardboards that I don't need, after that I just recycle in the blue bin. So yeah.
Cups, little bottles, put coffee in for traveling. Yeah, that's recycling.
Yes.
I mean, because it's a habit issue as well. So sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. Yeah, but among our friends, I mean, we always carry a tote bag.
Okay, there's a lot of feedback about it's very troublesome. You have to pack the things in the plastic bag and go to a recycling bin. So
so I mean that's a problem. But the new BTOs, right? They have those rubbish chutes that is for recycling only, which is great because it's a lot easier. It's just that the existing apartments now, the existing HDBs, they don't have that yet. So it's a bit of a hassle to walk all the way to the blue bin to throw it in. And usually once I get there, they're overflowing. They're like, where do I put my stuff? Yeah.
What do you think the ministry can do, anything that can help to push this?
I think the ministry can do more road shows, house-to-house visits, so that the public is more aware of all these issues. I
think more holistic education in that aspect. Yeah, I believe that sustainability education should start from young, especially from primary schools.
When you buy a bottle of beer, you bring the empty bottle back, you get 10-cent rebate.
Maybe an incentive to get people to, think a bit more on sustainability, or like she said, I think more on the groundwork as well. I think what's lacking is the one-to-one approach. So I see ads, I see on the community, like the boards and stuff, like, hey, recycle, but nobody's really coming up to us and like, these are the benefits if we recycle, this is what the government is doing.
就是要政府提头来做才可以，才有效率咯。还有新加坡人贪小便宜，要有一点奖品。
Do you agree with that statement? There's lack
I
of
think
communal
so. I think so. I totally agree. So that's why I said we are about like 3. We can push it a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a realization. That's something we should do. But it's how do we get them to get all of us to do it? Yeah.
I think it's quite true, no? Every time I go to the blue bin and then it's either my item is too big or if not, it's full.
And once upon a time, I literally saw the town council worker combine the green bin and the blue bin together and all up the lorry. But it's been quite many years ago. So
that's wrong. So actually, I think all the above should be done. Better infrastructure, better clearing of blue bin, or even the blue bin, as we bring our recycle down, we should really collapse our boxes. Right? Because very often we see the box as it is, putting in, and it occupies the entire space of the blue bin. So if every one of us can do that, collapse our recyclables, flatten it, I'm sure our blue bin can actually take a lot more. It takes effort. We should try to make it easier, like the blue rubbish chute for new BTOs. And as I say, it's consumer, it's the producers, it's the businesses, it's the government, all of us got to really apply our minds on this. And it is a change. As I said, if you don't change, then the whole world will not change. And then we will just carry on as it is, which is really not good for us in the long run.
True.
Ma'am, I hear you. Just now you talk about all the point. You never mentioned about incentivize.
Incentivize. Well, actually, incentives have been around for 10 years. Many companies have been running campaigns to, give people 30 cents back, if you bring a reusable cup, you can actually discount it. Actually, a lot of campaigns. Cheaper. A lot of campaigns has been there, but I think we need both. We have been doing some of these campaigns for many years. I think we need to just take one more step, one more push, right? So it won't be the last step. It will be a first step that we're taking, and then we will just keep pushing.
I think it's good to push forward with all this plan. For sure, if you tell me, say, if I bring my own cup and the drinks is going to be cheaper, I will do that.
Would you?
I will.
Okay.
Of course. Nowadays, we hear a lot about this blue box, and then that's like, on the other end of the spectrum, okay, good, it's good because it encourages Singaporeans to have a recycling kind of nature, and at the same time, people also questioning, by providing these boxes, are we in turn creating more waste,
So when we thought about recycling infrastructure, you talked about the blue bin below your white deck, right?
Yes.
So question about, is it troublesome? Where do I put the recyclables at home? And it's not really at my doorstep. I need to collect it and bring it down. So how do you collect it, right? So in many households, is that in a corner? Is that a separate bin? So we thought that, if we can put some infrastructure in the homes of people to help them, to remind them, hey, this box is actually for recyclables. If you put it next to your dustbin or your rubbish bin, and then you're about to throw something out, you say, okay, there's a recyclable and this is not. Should this go here or there? And that's just help nudge the behavior, right? Just help people remind that actually, if you put it nicely here, sort it nicely, maybe you need to bring this down once a week or twice a week. So to help to collect the recyclables, and hopefully we can actually accumulate more, and then we can in total recycle more. Yeah.
Useful.
I actually have been, going to my, house visits, bringing along these recyclable boxes, and one resident actually showed me one that is very nicely sorted. Boxes, carton boxes, newspapers, plastic bags, plastic bottles, nicely sorted in the blue box. So I think that's really an example of how, we can use the blue box to effect.
Interesting.
I think it's useful. I haven't get mine yet because the news came out. By the time I go there, boleh.
Don't worry, there will be enough. Don't you remember for everybody?
But like hot cake,
That's good.
Interesting. Do you think that recycling is very expensive?
No, recycling is not at all. Not all expensive. Yeah.
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Because, right, what Hafiz could also mean is that everything before recycling I must wash. So I'm using my water.
Right. Okay. You do need to collapse it, you need to wash it, you need to store it for a while. That's true. There is a change. Either, as I say, either you change your behavior, bring a reusable bag, for example, or there is some cost involved. There is some cost involved.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take a very long time to do so.
How long do you think it's going to take?
Because you see, now whenever we buy
generations,
things,
it's gonna be a generational
We
shift,
cannot afford. We cannot afford generations.
We cannot afford, but
you see, not when you buy something, the first thing you see, for me, the first thing I see is the price.
Yeah.
Next is the quality. I will not go into the company how they do the recycling.
That's true.
Absolutely right.
But on that note, right, there are some things that are quite tangible, right? I like sometimes you ask, like, I do so much for the planet, I don't see the effect. But I'm gonna ask a question. During circuit breaker, right, do you feel that Singapore was cooler?
Of course.
I think there's research studies saying that globally the temperature of the planet actually reduced by a little bit.
Yeah. There were dolphins in Venice.
Yeah. So
it's quite clear about sort of humans' impact on the environment.
Of course.
Is it because lesser vehicle on the road?
Correct.
Lesser traveling also.
Yeah.
But they on aircon longer period at home.
Not everybody on aircon.
So it's sometimes we on aircon at home and we on aircon in the office also at the same time, and then we'll be traveling, on planes and so on.
Yeah.
Back to your point about making information easier. I think that's what we do, right? So when we go to a retail shop and say you washing machine.
Yes, all the ticks.
So we try, yes, that's right. So that's what we do. We make the information easier. So whether it's a 4 ticks, whether it's a 2 tick or 1 tick, it's really to make it easier for consumers to pick the right equipment so that you save costs, you save the environment in the long run.
I think that this effort is quite towards the right direction. First, more ticks save more money in terms of electricity, and it helped to save the earth.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win situation. So in fact, consumers are looking at this type of win-win situation.
Yeah, but like all technologies, when it's new, because the scale is smaller, right? New technology actually it's more expensive.
Yeah, right.
It's like EV tend to be more expensive because we have spent maybe 5 decades perfecting the art of producing an ICE cars on the road. The Japanese, the Korean, the Chinese driving down the cost of cars. And then now you say, there's a new technology called EV. Production scale much smaller, and of course, cost is higher, right?
Yep.
Right. But if more of us start to buy and then given time to perfect the manufacturing, we will drive down the cost of EV as well. So this is what we need to do, right? Promote the use of technology, and then with more and more of us demanding this technology, this product, then I think we can bring the cost down. Right?
More
everybody got to start. If nobody wants to take the first step, then we'll never make it happen. So this is where I think we are very clear that we're really going to transit. The economy has to go more green, and you need the clarity to existing businesses who are thinking of changing the way that they do business, and new companies with new technology as they come in, the certainty that this is going to be the regime going forward.
Right.
So we're trying to, in a way, get past numbers, but looking at principles.
So yesterday I was trying to order on Grab. And then they were like, help us offset your carbon tax, pay 10 cents more.
Yes.
Or even the flight tickets, which is, I think, in the region of $40, $50, $60, right?
Yes.
So as a consumer, I'll be like, why am I helping you? You're already earning so much.
Yeah. So it's really much now it's voluntary, right?
Okay.
So this is voluntary. Just like some companies, they've said that they were going to be net zero. As a consumer, do you also want to work towards a net zero position? If you think that, I really want to help the environment, but I have to travel. The holiday is so important for us, right? The family and so on.
If it's tax claimable, then I'll be happy to do it.
It's a matter of please help me to help you.
Yeah. So my next IRAS one is like, how much have you given to offset carbon?
So from a company, they have a dilemma, right?
Yeah.
If it's not SQ. SQ will want to do the right thing of going net zero, but they say if I put all the carbon tax onto it, Wei Liang will say that, your price is more than the next competitor.
Yeah.
You'll go for it, right? So basically it says that, I do it without carbon tax, but give you the option.
If I want to feel...
If you want to feel good to offset,
or do my
they
part.
will do it for you.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't go and hunt which forest to go and plant or
Yeah,
which...
because I'll tell you, we are all so skeptical. The moment they want to charge something, right, we think, for profit you want this one.
No, it's not. So they are ring-fenced all this carbon credits, so-called, that they have collected. I think in the case of SQ, they have a few options. Either reforestation in Tasmania, in Australia, or in Ghana. There are a few sort of options for you to choose from.
Okay.
But it's really for you to decide.
Right.
But ultimately, we really want all companies to really work towards net zero, because that's how we can be net zero as a world.
Maybe perhaps you can tell the viewers out there or the listeners, what exactly is the Singapore Green Plan 2030? What entails, and are we moving in the right direction?
So if you look at, we call it about carbon emission, right? Which means carbon dioxide. It's actually coming from many, many sectors. The bus that we ride on, the cars that we drive on, to the office building that has electricity, lights turn on, air conditioning's on. Household also, we are producing CO2 on a daily basis.
Yes, we are.
So when we want to go towards what we call reducing the CO2, we actually have to work across many sectors. And that's why in the government, we bring together all the relevant ministries and say, okay, you have this carbon footprint, you have this carbon footprint, and you too, MTI, power generation, MOT, trains, buses, MND, built environment. What's your plan?
Right.
So Green Plan is to bring together all ministries that's involved to say, okay, this is the direction that we are heading. What do we need to do? So MOT, you need to go EV. How do you intend to implement your charging station infrastructure? So they came out with the 2040 all cleaner energy cars. What do you need to do that? Go to that position. Charging station, you've got to start today, because the 2040 is not that long, not that far away, it's slightly more than 10 years, right? So you need to work backwards and say, if I need 60,000 charging points, then what do I need to do every year? So that's really about laying down the plans that can help us reach the goal of 2030. And so across all ministries, including MOE, teaching young children in their curriculum how to do recycling, impact of their actions on the environment, it's all in the Green Plan. So we hope that with that, it can support the whole decarbonization of Singapore.
2030. But are we in
Are we
right direction now?
We're in the right direction. We hope that we can move faster. COVID has definitely affected us because some of the infrastructure has been delayed and so on, but we hope that we'll catch up. And it's very exciting because, even as we speak, there are new technologies coming forward, there are new products. We are seeing this movement, this ground movement from the companies, the business sector, NGOs, communities, to really get into the act. The number of community groups that's doing community gardens, for example, farming, for example, is really, since COVID days, when we start to do potting at home, a lot more interest. So it's really a kind of, ground-up support for SGP 30.
What is the biggest challenge you feel in executing this plan?
It's about...
really is the one that makes you stay up at night why are we not moving fast enough?
How do we tell more people about it,
Okay.
Yeah, because right now I think we are all consuming information from many, many sources. Yeah, so even when we have announcements, it's diffused, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like in the past you sit down with a copy of Straits Times. Now there's so many information channels. So how do we get the same message out there and convince Singaporean? We're talking about politics really being the possibility, the art of getting possibilities. So here it's about, encouraging the whole population to look at possibilities to get there and to look long term. Because some of these actions that we talked about, whether it's 30 by 30 to get our food capability up, producing our own food, it really takes more than, 10 years to get there. Some of the adaptation, coastal protection that we need to do, again, is more than a decade. So it's really about having the plan and consistently working on solutions to get there.
Is there a yearly assessment of sorts that you do within your ministry to see, okay, checklist of sorts. Okay, we've achieved this, achieved this, achieved this. Do you do that? Do you have KPIs and all that
Yes.
in place?
Yes. For example, when we have this energy efficiency grant, we talked about how we support SMEs with energy efficient equipment.
Okay.
We will review every year. How many have taken, how many companies, how much has been dispersed, and what kind of savings do we do? And if not, we will improve it. So this is what actually we did. First 2 years, we're not very happy with the progress. Not as many companies have come forward. So we want to improve the scheme, 70%, more products, more equipment eligible, so that more companies can benefit. We do that every year, all the time. Yeah.
So we've talked about policies and we talk about regulations and all that. Are there any more upcoming laws and policies that you feel, if you put in place, would change our country for the better?
Fair.
Many more.
Many more.
It will be many more,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But as I said, our destination is there. We are here.
Correct.
We can't go one big step because cannot tahan, right?
Yeah,
if you say, now you cannot, must really go on the strict diet. You cannot drink anything that's sweet. It's like you ask someone, you cannot, right? It's the change is too drastic. So we have to slowly move people along the way. So I suspect that we're going to have more of these policies in the next few years.
Interesting. Okay, we have talked a lot about, again, policies and regulations and all that. I want to touch on something that's a bit more on the personal level.
Okay.
Okay, can if you're alright with it.
Of
Can
course. Yeah,
straight
yeah,
out,
yeah.
okay? Have to. I mean, Buay Song, sometimes you feel Buay Song in your job, right? Okay, now, because you have been through many ministries, do you miss working in these ministries? And if given a chance, would you want to join back that ministry and do something different? Or you're very happy with where you are right now?
No, I think that every ministry that I've been to, thinking back, I wish I had the chance to redo it again and I'll say I'll try to do this better. But it has to do with, sort of your phase in your career as well. Because when you join some ministry, you're a junior minister, right?
Yeah.
So no experience and then don't know how to, first of all, don't know the ministry, don't know the people. You spend a bit of time learning and all that. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you wish that, I can avoid the mistake. But this is how you grow, right? You can't avoid making all mistakes, but learn from it. So if you ask me to think back, I would say that every ministry, I wish I have a chance to go back and do something better. But I'm really enjoying this ministry, I would say, because it really has the impact, both very short term and something that's very, very long term, like coastal protection. You think about 100-year-old problem. And something that is very close to each one of our sort of day-to-day living, like hawker food, plastic bags, containers, waste collection, to something that is, quite far out, like transboundary haze, right? So actually it affects you like really in many, many different ways and different dimensions of time also.
Interesting. Okay.
If I were to reverse it, is there any other ministry that you hope to
not be in? Like, whatever happens, do not put me in this ministry.
Yeah, lucky I'm out already.
That one,
I'll tell you one that will be very stressful.
Which one?
Transport.
Yeah, that's the
Because
one.
people be like,
That's the one that the online community is always
very
making fun of. Like,
Yes.
wow, this one jialat one.
you
Yeah.
increase 5 cents, they copy here.
So actually, every ministry have that, right? So every ministry has some sort of, we call it operational issues lah.
Yeah.
So for us, we have two in MSE. So for example, hawker center flooded. Or sometimes hawker center cleaners didn't appear, and then you have all the plates. We all have our dengue. We all have our operational issues. Ministry of Transport, sometimes you have breakdown the train, right? Not that the minister can do anything because you can't be there on the ground to make sure that maintenance is done every day. But what we can do is to make sure that the system is there to be as robust as possible.
I think one thing being, in office, you are, of course, there will be criticism and all that. But I'm actually quite interested to know, how do you deal with criticism? Of course, we all know that it will affect you in one way or another, right? But how do you sort of shift and deal with it?
Yeah.
Especially like sometimes unfortunately on a daily basis, right?
Yeah. So we have to look at the problems or the feedback or the criticisms that come. Look at the nature of it. Sometimes it's a systemic problem, because if you receive one criticism of this nature every day, then you know that, hey, there's something that's not right, because there seems to be a pattern to it. And then you do want to look at what we call systemic problem. If it's something that's isolated, then you sort of ask around, hey, is this a common problem, or do you have this? And if all your colleagues say, no, like, we never come across, then maybe this is really an isolated, maybe it has to do with that particular officer on the ground, or that particular project that's not done well. But we like to look at really the facts of the things and try to treat the issues rather than look at the tone of the person or, you know, the criticism. Don't take it too personally. And really look at the issues involved.
Which brings me to my next question. What do you do to distress? Like what would, you do after a whole day of all this discussions and meetings and seeing people just not appreciating your work? Like what do you do to distress?
Bring it back to family.
And torture the family. Well, I must say that there are people who are appreciative. So sometimes you'll find solace in that. But if I'm really frustrated, really puesong, I'll go for a run. So I run 5 km just to de-stress. At the end of it, I feel much better. I feel tired. I go for a shower so that people around me won't object to it. And then, pick up. And each new day, it's a new day of possibilities.
So this is a telltale sign for your family members. Mommy is out for a jog.
Yeah, if I run very long.
Mommy is having the off shower in a day. Something is not right.
Either run very long or very fast, they know that something is wrong.
Whenever you do these jogs, right, have you ever like WhatsApp any of your like cabinet members?
No. I like to, I'm not one of those that can listen multitask while I'm running. When I'm running, I'm just like
Focus
to de-stress.
But if I were to ask you, like, give me one name of someone who's a good pacer for you.
Seems like a planted question.
No lah.
Good listener.
Okay lah, yeah. I'm gonna out some ministers.
No, actually, Tan Chuan Jin will be. Because, not that he's definitely faster than me, but he accommodates.
Right.
And because we both like to run from Parliament House, both of us like that route, Singapore River. So we very often find ourselves like, hey, today run 5 o'clock, 5:30.
That's
then
nice.
we will set off together. We are more regular partners in that sense. But he's much faster than I. And he do all this crazy HIIT, which I just look.
High intensity
interval training.
Okay, last question. Who's the one that you wouldn't want to jog with? No.
Can name a few?
No. There's so many much faster.
Much faster.
Cannot.
Okay, very, very,
no, because
very smart.
I don't want people to have to slow down. I feel that, they have to slow down, accommodate. Really, it's not very fun for them. So,
Interesting. Okay, all right. And with that, we've come to the end of our episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Given the chance, we will want to talk to you for the next hour because there's so many things to cover. We talk about the environment, right?
Please be a champion for environment.
Of course. Any last words maybe to our viewers or our listeners who are listening right now?
We have a campaign to really turn Singapore into a green nation. So please sign up for Green Nation Pledge.
Nice.
Wow.
Green Nation Pledge. All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Grace.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, friends, for taking the time off to talk to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Talk to each other.
Anything for you.
And thank you for those of you who are watching. And thank you for those who are listening. All right. Till we see you in the next episode of Straight Talk. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.